Voluntary organization is one of the pillars of strength in the fight against COVID-19. The drastically changing socio-economic scenario of the country has made us to rethink and change the style and manner of implementing programs taking into account the new normal. Considering these facts, Vishwa Yuva Kendra, in collaboration with Federation of Voluntary Organizations for Rural Development, organized this webinar to discuss their role in response to COVID-19.
This is a new experience in the decade or even in the era that we are experiencing this COVID-19. I think this generation never experienced such a situation more than 70, 80 years. So today it is the need of an hour to organize this webinar workshop to address the issue related to voluntary sector in collaboration with Vishwa. Grateful to Vishwa Yuva Kendra that they are in since more than 2 years. They are regularly collaborating in many activities, and also speakers. All the speakers of today are more than 3 decades of experience present here to share their experience on this COVID-19 in response to voluntary sector.
It's not one. So the impact of COVID is different on different organizations. There are some common threats which impact every organization, but when you go deeper into, say, the action, there will be variations, and it is a challenge for the civil society to understand that variation in different contexts, different situations, different reference communities, and to take the and to identify. We still have not been able to say come to the understanding of what is the new normal as such. The civil society is a very important element and has thus the responsibility, the moral responsibility to oversight the state in the market and to ensure that the democracy continues. So given these backgrounds and all, it is very important that we ensure that we continue our exploration with regards to our engagement in this particular context with the civil society stakeholders at different levels. To sort of categorize the key stakeholders with which we engage. All of us engage. Maybe the format of engagement is different, and health-related organization will relate in a different manner, and a rights-based organization will relate in a different manner. But the primary bulk of the first stakeholder which we have is the transgenders, these tribals, the Dalits, and these are the groups with whom they are the primary stakeholders with whom we relate. So the community characteristics is also what we are experiencing is changing quite substantially in terms of relationship. And we all had believed in strategies of personal engagement and a very close collective engagement. And now you have to see, you have to ensure the issues of COVID-19 also to taking into consideration. Second level is the informal institutions. The informal institutions are the institutions which the people's organizations which we have created, the CBOs as we have created, the federations, forums, like the FEVED-K is one registered, but there are many formats of this registered and unregistered, formal and informal institutions which we have created. And there is an interlinking with all of this. And that is also an area because these institutions we have primarily used to mobilize the community at the grassroots level and also at the higher level, meso and macro level, and to respond to certain challenges which are emerging either from the bottom or from the top. Of course, the third stakeholder I see very, very important is the panchayats, the PDAs, the ICDS, ANMs, health workers, and other service providers and all. Now, panchayats have been engaged in the COVID response at the grassroots level this time quite significantly by the government. one or two new areas which are emerging is that the CSOs have to become a link between the research and academic organizations, because a lot of research is going on in terms of medical not only in terms of the options of livelihood, the alternate, how do you, the joblessnesses which is created, how do you work for creating further jobs, how do you strengthen or increase the Manrega wages, how do you diversify livelihood patterns, how do you use the forest-based livelihood practices into a much more productive manner. So all this civil society has got to create innovations in these areas, in this field that is there, taking into consideration the experiences which are emerging now. So this has to there will be a new normal, and that new normal may slightly vary from one another, but certain core new normal will have to emerge, which we still don't know when it will emerge, but that is definitely, things will not going to be in the air.
When we talk about relief, I try to see what is that relief you are all talking, right? So definitely a lot of work is going on health emergency issues, right? I think a lot of CSOs are engaging in to see what can we do quickly, how can we really support our communities into the health related thing. I think another major thing, of course, there's a huge amount of anxiety, fear, and people don't know what's going to happen, because initially everybody thought maybe this is a month, 2 months, 3 months issue, but it looks like that never ending story. So that seems to be another big thing that CSOs has a role, not just to do the relief. It's part of relief. How do we even help provide confidence to people? I think that's the biggest challenge that I think we as a group has to face. Of course, another part, people are losing jobs. That means people are losing money. That means particularly vulnerable communities having problem for even to day-to-day survival. Work take us to see whether there's a minimum food to eat, there's minimum healthcare facilities for people to live. So that's the other big thing under relief. So as a CSOs, we seems to be really need to look at more and more relief work to the more vulnerable people, because they deserve more, and they're also unfortunately unable to access some of the relief work that are actually available. So, so rehabilitation is something in a long term, there'll be a lot of work. I think CSOs has to really gear up to see how we are going to respond. What is the role for us in a relief work and also in a rehabilitation work, right? So to me, the most important for CSOs is to see whether, first of all, if before we getting into a relief work, are we aware or are we doing some work with our teams to help them what is relief work, right? If at all we say, let's get into relief work, to begin with, can we create little awareness to our own members? What is it? How do you approach it? And what are the minimum skills that you need to have even to get into the relief work? One of my worry is CSOs should not be just looked at, we are at the ground and we are only we know about doing direct work in the community. Yes, that is our core work, but I would also say, apart from our sector, I don't see any other sector is geared up to do any other things also. So I'm just sitting with several government meetings. They're completely struggling. They don't know how to mobilize people. Perhaps we are the best people. So can we get into that type of work? So can we really get into developing a specific, simple training program for frontline workers? Today, they are all working with the COVID things. So my whole thing is for us to get into relief work. Let's not just say we will only do distribution of food, or we will only do some regular stuff that required for community. That's important. I'm not ignoring it. We have to continue to do it. But there is a big space in this thing that which we are not actually looking at the CSOs. I would request that we need to look at many other areas that can actually make a big impact.
So coming to Bosch response to COVID, we committed 50 crore rupees to combat COVID, and we have taken few actions. One of them is immediate support in the form of the meals and the food provisions. We supplied during the lockdown period. We supplied about 100,000 meals at the houses of the people, especially to the migrant workers, those who are engaged into the construction industry, etc. The people who had come from different other states and now because of the lockdown had nowhere to go. Second action taken by Bosch was to develop a software which can map the availability of beds with the hospitals and the ambulances versus the people who are found positive. So this is called as Care Juice. The third intervention is to manufacture the masks. Bosch globally decided to set up 6 masks manufacturing facilities. Each one is capable of manufacturing 1 lakh masks per day. Bosch has also responded very quickly and brought out a rapid test kit for COVID globally. And this was launched in Germany. Of course, the machine is very simple, but if the operation of the machine is simple, inside it has to be complicated. And that is why the production is less. We are still hoping that in near future, we will get some of these machines also in India as of now being manufactured in Germany. Our fifth intervention is to train the paramedics. We know that there are a lot of paramedics required now, mainly because of the pandemic. And we have decided to tie up with Apollo Hospital, Apollo MedSkills, and we are now selecting about 1,000 youth who will be trained on these different roles in the paramedic areas. There are a few other things which are under discussion, not yet launched, but these are under active discussion, and very soon, hopefully, we will be also launching one by one of them. So I think the NGOs, and I'm talking of an average NGO. I know there are many who are far matured and far bigger and who can definitely cross all these barriers which I'm mentioning. So on one side, the image of an NGO has become as to give me the money, and on the other side, the corporates is thinking, whom do I trust with my money? Not that I don't have a problem, not that I don't want to spend the money, not that I don't have to spend the money, not that I have a choice if it is a CSR fund of the 2%. We certainly have those challenges, but the question is, unless the NGOs and the corporates sit together in a very trustful kind of an environment, talk to each other in a very open and a transparent language, these barriers are difficult to come out, because these have grown over the years, over the decades, perhaps more than many decades. And I think it's high time now we should start talking to each other and start doing something about it. This is my personal view. I think not very different than the theory, that the collaboration is the only way forward. And this collaboration is not only within the industry or the businesses and the CSOs, but also with the government. Because after all, industry has a role, government has a role, and the CSOs have a role, the NGOs have a role. The role of the government is, of course, all the policies are in their control. They have to make the policies. But more important than that is also they have to do the funding to the scale. Because any solution which has been developed jointly by the companies and by the CSOs has to finally be scaled up. If something is working in a particular district or a particular taluka, a particular state, if that has to be scaled up at a national level or possibly even beyond someday, governments have to pitch in, because the scale can only come up through the government.
What's volunteering? So why should we think of volunteering at this moment? Is it essential for non-profit organizations to think about volunteering? As you know, it's considered as an altruistic activity wherein the people and the organization want to give out their time, give out their skills, give out their services to benefit other person or organizations. So majority of non-profit, this is an unfortunate thing, but majority of the non-profits feel that volunteers are nice to have, but not must to have. So we always feel that. So volunteers, what they can do, they can come, stay for some time, do whatever they can do, but it is not necessary, it is not must for an organization. It's actually why we need to work with volunteers. It's need to gain confidence and retain hope. Volunteers, engaging with external people, volunteers, will actually help civil society organization to gain more and more confidence and retain the hope. And most importantly, it's for our knowledge and skills. So we need to learn to operate, learn to engage with our stakeholders in a virtual mode. So we need those skills, online skills and technology skills. So we need to recalibrate, reorient all our strategies, all our projects to address the effects of COVID. That's where we need support of volunteers also. And we need volunteers to build a complementary support mechanism. Government is unfortunately not in the position to support us both financially as well as in other ways, probably for next 1 or 2 years. So, but government needs support. Government needs the solidarity of civil society organization. Corporate and philanthropists may provide financial support, but NGOs need to play a role, and we need volunteer support for that. And fourthly and importantly, the organization development. We need to keep our organization growing and going. So we need to optimize our resources, plan our resources, and mobilize our resources. Engagement of volunteers can also help us to reduce our expenditures, especially the operational expenditures. It can reduce actually. So you can also look forward to get the support of these volunteers as our goodwill ambassadors. And volunteering in the local level. So in the COVID times, how we can actually engage volunteers to solve some of the local issues. At the national level, of course, we have less scope. Many things are being already done. The information analytics is one area where we need the support of skilled human resources. And long-term sustained IEC and BCC strategy and activities required to be taken forward using the support of volunteers. And more importantly, we need the volunteer support, the state teams in bringing government, the private sector, civil society organization, other stakeholders on board to shape concrete interventions and organizing a stakeholder consultation process. This is where we can also use the volunteer support in this activity. We need to accept to co-work with like-minded NGOs and learn and practice to create emergency funds. Most of us are project-based. We do project-based accounting as well as cash-based accounting. We need to move towards fund-based accounting system. Start creating some funds to manage and mitigate the emergencies. We need to negotiate with our donors for staff welfare funds and ensuring PF, ESI gratuity benefits to us. I'm saying this importantly because many of the civil society organizations are not offering these social security benefits to the staff. If that is made available, certainly they would have a better position to handle the situation. And let us proactively plan and accommodate volunteers. A benefit to the community, they are a benefit to the organization, also a benefit to the disadvantage to the organization.
So as we all know, this COVID-19 pandemic is an unprecedented ordeal that has an immense burden on the nation's healthcare systems, leaving millions at risk of exposure, adding vulnerable to countries' frontline workers. So any measures and response to the COVID-19 should be grounded on the right enjoyment of highest attainable standard of physical and mental health, especially regardless of race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, other status. So when we come forward for the responding to this COVID crisis, we should be very regardless to all these points.
On behalf of FEVERK, I am very much thankful to Vishwa Yuva Kendra for organizing such a wonderful program and arranging the speakers. I am very much thankful to Anjaneya Reddy for initiating this program and managed very systematically. I am thankful to all the participants who are present and already who are left. Thank you very much. All the best, and we hope we collaborate in the future. Thank you.
Vishwa Kendra team and FEVERK team both have done wonderful job, and this is the result that in a webinar where everywhere is a webinar and more than 325 persons in a webinar came here to understand, to learn, to inculcate ideas, to imbibe the ideas and reflect among their the behavior and the activities. That's what the really wonderful. We are too grateful to all the participants, all the distinguished speakers, and thank you so much. Looking forward to you all to associate with ourselves, and we will do the wonderful job. In spite of all odds, we will conquer. हम लोग आगे बढ़ेंगे, हम लोग विजयी होंगे, हम लोग आगे बढ़ेंगे, विजयी होकर ही रहेंगे।
Thanks for watching. For more updates, please subscribe to our official YouTube channel and follow us here.